So it's funny that you said you wanted to connect knowing to the quarantine event, because the thing I was thinking of when we were talking about movies was the movie Armageddon.
Yeah.
Which is a kind of a world ender movie. And when we say world ender, I don't think in Armageddon they said the planet was not going to exist. They said that we would go extinct.
Yeah, right.
And, there would probably be a point in time where life would continue and then flourish again. But for a while, we'd really be pushed down to, a few species that survived, whether it's microbes or plants, or just maybe a select portion of life.
Right.
And this has happened before. And the reason why I was drawing your tie between the Carrington event and knowing is because Armageddon just kind of reminded me of the KT event, which, by the way, the KT event was a massive extinction that happened where 75% of life on Earth went extinct all in one shot. Now, it didn't happen like in seconds. Something happened to Earth and 75% of everything died. And the most famous thing that died is the dinosaurs. But there was a lot of other things that passed away. But it wasn't just death and destruction and no upswing. Normally things flourish when they have like an abundance of something. So like a lot of the massive organisms or living things on the planet that no longer exist, or maybe exist in a form that's much smaller because they evolved into something smaller, was because they didn't have an abundance to live off of. Well, when 75% of everything dies on the planet, there's a lot more other stuff that there's not as much competition for things. There's not as much predators. There's not as many things that are keeping something down. So it kind of allowed life to flourish again, and actually made way for a lot of evolution, because there was a lot of resources on Earth that weren't being taken advantage of, and some of these other creatures that normally wouldn't be able to access those things evolved into things that could access them. And one thing that really took off was mammals. I'm kind of happy about that, because we're mammals. And so we might not have existed if 75% of everything didn't perish at one point.
Right. Now, to back you up a little bit, did you feel you're going to get any pushback because you mentioned the dinosaurs? There's a good amount of people out there who feel like, who may want to debunk this whole event, but also
you're talking about the people who are making comments on our videos.
Well, not necessarily, not just but there could be a separate group of people who are like, dinosaurs. What are you talking about?
Now I'm just thinking about the Rick and Morty we talked about the other week, where dinosaurs came back, and they're like, dinosaurs are back. And they're like, apes are hairless. Do I fear that? No. I don't care. In fact, I welcome everyone to make as many comments as possible. We have a good time reading them.
Okay.
And a good time for the most part interacting with you guys. It's kind of a mess of event, and the reason why I'm tying this to Armageddon, is because we're not 100% sure what caused the initial piece. We know what killed everything. What killed everything was the climate change, but drastically, and not like how we talk about climate change today. Like, oh, we should all be taking care of everything better, and I mean we should, but no, this was like an external thing, something, or maybe not an external thing, but a rare event that then caused our entire planet's climate to change pretty rapidly, and nothing, or I shouldn't say nothing, only 25%. Survived. for the longest time, there was two big main theories. One was either a supervolcano. And by supervolcano, I mean like Yellowstone National Park.
Right, something super huge.
Yes. But there really isn't any evidence of that. But it would be something on the order of that it would take to do this level of devastation, which we can see the aftermath of the devastation, but we're not sure which caused it. The other thing that they were thinking if it wasn't a supervolcano, it could have been many volcanoes erupting all at the same time. And just putting tons of stuff into the atmosphere, which would darken the skies, would change our climate, would do a lot of things. It would kill, as soon as you start to kill things in the food chain, other things start dying that relied on those things.
Right.
And then the other main theory is that it was a giant asteroid, which I guess they didn't have Bruce Willis and Steve Buscemi to right up there with nuclear weapons.
Yeah, they would have saved the day for sure.
And I believe the event or the crater that they believe it happened that caused this is around the Yucatan Peninsula. And it's partially underwater, but with modern technology and the fact that we can like scan for things with radar and sonar and stuff, it's pretty big. So, I mean, we know something hit us because we can see the aftermath of it, and it would be something of that size that could do this. So I guess for right now, we don't know for sure, but what we do know for sure is when we take ice samples or rock core samples or sediment samples from all over the world, there is a line where anywhere on the planet you go, you can see that at this time period, there was a lot of stuff coming out of the sky. And then we also know from the fossil record that there was 75% of other things that existed that we don't see anymore. So
Fossils. What's that?
so it's like you're just trying to stir up trouble here.